welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while. I've been very MIA because I've been going through a lot of stuff mentally, physically, all of that jazz. So I haven't really been on booktube. I haven't really been on social media, to be fair. Like, I post odd here and there, but it's been a while. So I don't actually think I've posted this year, bar like my tier ranking of last year's books. So I thought we could have a little sit down, catch up, see what I've been reading this year. I've not actually read that many books. I think I've read 18 books, which this time last year I had read 30. So it's been a slow year. I was in a very big reading slump at the start of the year, but we're slowly ploughing through. So now I just need to remember what I read myself. Okay, what have I been reading this year? My reading goal I put to 25 because of how slumpy I was at the start of the year. I was like, I don't want to set myself high and not reach it. So I am on 18 out of 25. The very first book I read this year was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, because I didn't read it when it first came out. I was so excited for it, and then I just didn't read it, which I rated a 5-star. I really enjoyed it. Like, I heard very mixed reviews about it, and people saying that it didn't give the same vibes, that it didn't hit the same, but I loved it. I loved it so much. I enjoyed it more than Fourth Wing, and it really opened my eyes to actually liking Xaden, because I didn't like Xaden in Fourth Wing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna hate this book because I don't like Xaden. I love Xaden now. I'm still a Riddick girly. Riddick and Sawyer, my Shaylas, if anyone hurts them, I will probably have a breakdown. Doesn't take much, but so yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I've got like little videos of me reacting. Maybe I'll like insert them in the video. Editing Geordie here. So this was my reactions to near the end of Iron Flame, and you can tell I was having such a fun time. Look at that face. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I don't even know why I'm putting this in the video, but I just was such a mess. Like, this is sped up. I was reading it so slow, but this is sped up. But yeah, I had the ending of the book spoiled for me, so I kind of was anticipating what was to come, but I still really enjoyed it. And even though I knew what was coming, it still got to me, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell. But yeah, so 5 stars for Iron Flame. Really enjoyed it. I haven't read Onyx Storm yet. It's coming, hopefully. I'm also going to tell you what months I read what books. So Iron Flame was January, and this next book was also January. I read 2 books in January, and the other book that I read was The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. I rated this a 3-star. I was really enjoying it from the start, but then I kind of just like, I think because I started slumping, I just stopped enjoying it, and it got to the point where I just wanted it to be over. So I rated it 3 stars because obviously I was really liking it, but I really didn't like the boyfriend. I actually can't remember his name, but I really didn't like him. So I think that's kind of also something that ruined it for me, and it did make me cry. And I thought it was like a beautiful story on the level of it's her going back to all the places that she like cried because of him, and you go on this journey of like discovering the 2 of them, how they became to be a relationship, what they went through, all of that stuff. But her first boyfriend was so much better. Just saying. So yeah, 3 stars for The Places I've Cried in Public. I read nothing in February. Like, I read things, but I never finished anything in February. So that was an interesting month of no reading. So skipping to March, I read a bunch of novellas. I kind of wanted to pull myself out of this slump. So I found the Impossible Meet Cute series, which has a bunch of novellas by 6 different authors. It was kind of like a Valentine's series. So the 5 that I read was The Exception to the Rule, The Worst Wingman Ever, The Impossible Dreamboat, Rosie and the Dreamboat, sorry. Did I read the name wrong? I did. It's The Improbable Meet Cute. The Impossible Meet Cute series. Drop, Cover and Hold On, and With Any Luck. I know there's 6, but I never got around to reading the 6th one. But I rated them all 4 stars. They were just really cute. They were what I needed. I think my favourite one was The Exception to the Rule, which is the first one. I loved that, like, the first half of it was, like, text emails of them two just talking and, like, going through the Valentine's days until they finally meet. Because basically the whole premise is that he accidentally emails her on Valentine's Day one year, and then they email each other every single Valentine's Day for a few years, and then, like, eventually it comes to, like, them meeting and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was really cute. I really liked it. It was such an easy read. It helped me just get out of the slump that I was slumping in. And yeah, I loved all of them. I think Worst Wingman Ever I loved the concept. It was so fun. And then Rosie and the Dreamboat also was such a fun concept. And it also kind of introduced me to other authors, because the only one I had read a book by was Christina Lauren, which is The Exception to the Rule. And then there's also Abby Jimenez, Sally Thorne, Jasmine Guillory, I don't know if that's how you say the name, I'm sorry, and Ashley Poston, which I have books by a couple of those authors, but I just never read them. So I think these are, like, nice little introductions to the author's writing. And it was just fun. So yeah, I read 5 novellas in March. I then move on to April, where I read 4 books. The first book being Promise Me Not by Megan Brandy. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love and adore Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, so I was very excited for the next one in this series. However, it wasn't everything I wanted, but that's okay. It was Mason and Peyton's story, and it was very cutesy. I started to like Chase, and I didn't want to do that, because if you've read Say You Swear, you know why. And it was a very cutesy book. I mostly listened to it. I think this month I listened to all 4 of the books on this, but, like, I read them in between. And I ran out of storage on my iPad. So yeah, I loved it, but it wasn't, like, my favourite, so it's a 4-star. I have started Trust Me Always, however I've not finished it yet, because again I've been slumping, which is fun. So yeah, I need to carry on with that, but I'm actually very much enjoying the book that I'm reading at the moment, which I will get into later on. The next book that I listened to was The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This book was a very hard book for me to listen to because of something that I experienced earlier in the year, and it was such a raw and real story. I rated it 3 stars just because I think I struggled with it because of how much I connected. So that was, like, not a fun experience, but it was a great book. And, like, listening to it, hearing as she, like, kind of dealt with all of that and came through the other side, it was just so inspiring to hear. Yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on the topic of that one. The next book was one of my most anticipated reads of the whole year, and that was Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I love the Hunger Games universe. I had never actually read the books, which I know is criminal, but my book club girlies got me the book set for my birthday, and I know Maze has gotten me a couple of the special editions of the Hunger Games for my birthday, which I'm so forever grateful for. I'm grateful for anything. But yeah, I devoured Sunrise on the Reaping. Like, I cannot express to you how much I actually loved that book, and I'm so excited for the movie. I work in a cinema, and we had a big poster for Ballad of Songbird and Snakes when that came out, so I've already asked if we get one for Sunrise on the Reaping, can I have it? No clue where I'm going to put it, but that's an issue for future Geordie. Geordie right now just knows that I want it. So yeah, what I've wanted ever since watching the Hunger Games is to just have Haymitch's games. Like, we get little pieces here and there of, like, what happened. Obviously it was, like, a quarter quell, and in the Court of Quells they do things differently. And instead of 24 kids, there was 48 that went into the Hunger Games. And it was just such a wild journey. And like when you're reading it and then you pick up on the little things that then you realise in the Hunger Games, it's just, oh, I just loved it so much. I rated this 4 stars just because the games just felt very short. Like, I understand there's a lot more people, it's gonna be over quicker, but the build up to the games was such a long experience, and then the actual games themselves was a few chapters, and I was just like, oh, this is what we're reading for. And it was just very short, but it's fine because the cast is incredible. Like, what do you mean McKenna Grace is gonna be Maisie? What do you mean friggin' Maya Hawke is gonna be Juarez? Oh, I actually can't. Ralph Tiffins as Snow. Oh, I'm so ready. I honestly cannot wait. So yeah, 4 stars for Summer is on the Reaping. And then my final book of April was Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. I have read Flawless and Heartless by Elsie Silver, and they weren't my favourite. I haven't reached for the rest yet. I've got them on my shelf. I am actually giving them to Ida, because I don't really want the physicals. Because if I'm going to read them, I'll just read them on my Kindle. I love physical reading, don't get me wrong, but they're taking up space. So, but yeah, so Off to the Races. I did actually love this. I loved Off to the Races more than I liked Flawless and Heartless combined. And I know, please don't come for me, I know that's criminal, but it just so happened to be how I felt. I loved Billy so much. I loved her with my whole heart. I related to her quite a lot. And it was such a fun listen. So I 4 stars. This is probably one of the worst videos you're ever gonna watch, if you watch it. If you're still here, hi. I'm just rambling, but I literally, with how much of a slump I've been in, I'm just like trying to recall everything that happened. Okay, in the month of March, I read 3 books. I read 4 books. I read 4 books in March. Go me. So I started the month with a 5-star read. This book series is an automatic 5-star to me. I don't care what anyone says. Automatic 5 stars. And that is Carp Corpus by Rachel Kane. This is the Morganville Vampire series. I've spoke about these books multiple times, and anyone who knows me knows my love for these books. And I actually read 1 to 6, and I hadn't read any further. There's 15 in this series, let me preface. I read it for the first time when I was 11 years old, and I still to this day love these books, and I'm determined to finish this series. Carpe Corpus was so good. I had read it, but I just couldn't remember, because I think I read it in one sitting a couple years back, and I just could not remember most of the stuff that happened. And I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't put it down. I read it again in like 2 days. And with the slump that I had been in, that's so good for me. Along with work, it was just, that book is just perfection. Just the Morganville Vampire series. Go read it. If you want urban fantasy, go read the Morganville Vampire series. I should have a count of how many times I say this. The next book was another 5-star, and it is another one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and that is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. My favourite cowboy universe is the Rebel Blue Ranch. I just love them so much. So I was very excited for this because Dusty. Oh my god. Cam and Dusty. I love Second Chance, and this was a very big second chance, because they were high school sweethearts. And it was just reading, oh my god, everything about this book, I loved it. I was sucked in, and I could not get out until I finished this book. And when I tell you, I'm a Wes and Ada girly, but Cam and Dusty, dethrone them. Like, Swift and Saddled was my favourite, and then Cam and Dusty came and swooped in, and now Swift and Saddled is number 2, and Wild and Wrangled is number 1. I just, please, if you have not read the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage, Please go read it. She's also releasing more books and I'm very excited. And The Rebel Blue Ranch is becoming a TV show. Stop it. I'm so excited. The next book, another Morganville, is Fade Out, which is book 7. Again, I freaking loved this book. Like, my favourite character is Shane. I'm in love with Shane. Shane was like my first book boyfriend that I was like attached to. And he remains there today. So it's been a good 14 years and he still is there. Always in the back of my mind. Whenever I read a new book boyfriend, I'm like, they're not Shane. And so this book, just the stakes that was on Shane and Claire and just all of the characters. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've already raved about this series. But please, please, please go read the Morganville Vampire series by Rachel Kane. You will not regret it. You might. But I'm going to say you won't. So you're not going to. The final book of May. Why did I say March? I've said March at the start. March of this section. I meant May. We're in May. The final book of May was probably my most anticipated book of the year. I quite literally, this book arrived at my house when I was at work and my mum, like the icon that she is, drove it to my work so that I could have it to start reading on my break. I did start reading it beforehand. I can't lie to you. I got the EPUB. Like, I bought the Kindle version and started reading it beforehand. So I think I was like 19 chapters in by the time I got it physically in my hands. But this is Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. I'm a big Boys of Tom and Girly, and obviously I was very, very excited for this book. I rated Releasing a 5-star. I did rate it a 5-star. Okay. This book was so heavy. It took me a lot longer to read it than I had anticipated that it would. Because of the topics that it deals with. I just kind of had to keep taking breaks. When they say that like this book is not for everyone, it's not. I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the storytelling. I loved the journey that we went on, but it was one of the most devastating journeys ever. Like, it hasn't topped redeeming for me on like heartbreak, which I know some people are gonna be like, what the hell? But that book sits with me. But this book, just Lizzie. Lizzie very much feels like a Nesta to me. I hated Nesta when I first read ACOTAR. Like, the first 4 books of ACOTAR, didn't like her, no. And then I got to her book and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to read her book. She's my favourite character in ACOTAR next to Azriel. And Lizzie, obviously it's not an excuse for how she acts, but it's a reason. And the reason is valid. If you go into the Boys of Tommen series, please go in checking your triggers, prepare yourself. Don't force yourself to read it all in one, because it really is not an easy book to read. So yeah, 5 stars for that, because oh my goodness. I read 2 books in June. And I finished 2 in one day because I painted something for work and I had like a 7-hour shift and I just listened to my audiobooks. I'd already started them, I'd been reading them, but those 2 books are Credence by Penelope Douglas and The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. I started The Wrong Heart back in, I think it was February, because it was my in-person book club book. It might have been March. I think it was March that Elle chose it for. And I was really enjoying it. I think I got about 50% through and then the slump just like plummeted. And like, I struggled a little bit. So I put a pause on it. And then I picked up Credence because I have an unofficial work book club. And Credence was our first pick. So I was listening to that and oh my god, that journey. I rated Credence at 3 stars and I rated The Wrong Heart 5 stars. But the journey that you go on in Credence is not my favourite Penelope Douglas. I don't ever see anything topping the Devil's Night series, even though I've not finished it. I need to finish Nightfall and Fire Night, but I will get there. But Credence, I actually don't know what there is to say on that book. I don't. So yeah. But The Wrong Heart, the twists and turns that book took, Jade and Elle heard all of my thoughts and feelings on that book as I was reading it. I was just messaging them being like, oh my god, what is going on? Like, what's actually happening? And it was actually so funny because obviously they had both finished it and they both loved it so much. I need to get like a trophy copy of The Wrong Heart because of how much I loved it. I think it's my joint favourite book that we've read for book club, along with Serpent and the Wings of Night, which was August's book last year. Shout out Leona for picking that one. And it's so good. It's so good. Like, it's not a mess around book. It's like a serious book. So please, again, check your triggers if you're going to read The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. But oh my goodness, I think about that book so often. And I could not have guessed where it was going to go. And I love that when a book does that. The most recent book that I finished this on the 1st of July. We're on the 26th. So you can tell how stumpy I've been. But that was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter, sorry. I had been reading this for a while. I was going to do like this little series of like finding like your birth month, your book boyfriend, and read those books. And this came from that because I got Stephen, which is Wit from The Summer of Broken Rules, and I was loving it, and then obviously slump hit, so I got the audiobook when I was doing the painting of the wall, and I just started listening to it, and then I finally finished it this month. I rated it 4 stars. It lacked a little bit for me, but that's okay. But it was just such a cute story. It's like so fun. It deals with like grief, like loss, all of that kind of stuff. And it's just you go on this journey of healing with the main character, and I loved the journey of like her finding herself, taking part in this game that was her sister's favorite game because her sister passed away, and it just, oh my god, please read it. I'm saying please read it to every single book on this list, but it's just, I just can't express how much you will need to read this book if you haven't. But yeah, 4 stars. And that leads me on to what I'm currently reading. So I've got 2 books on the go at the moment. I'm listening to the audiobook of The Hunger Games, and I'm about 50% of the way through that. And I'm also physically reading Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher because I want to be up to date by the time Love Arranged comes out, which comes out next month, by the way. And I'm about 75% through Love Unwritten. When I tell you, I've not been able to really put Love Unwritten down. Like, I'll pick it up. I was reading it on my break earlier at work, and I just could not, for the life of me, put it down. My alarm went off to say that I needed to clock back in, and I just stood walking with the book, reading it, devouring it. And I didn't enjoy Love Redesigned as much as I had hoped, so I was like very skeptical with Love Unwritten, but I'm loving it, every second of it. So my thoughts and feelings will come on that when I've finished it, but I can't. So that is everything that I've read so far this year. I am gonna do my absolute best to upload more, be more consistent with my booktube. However, it may become difficult because of stuff that's happening at work. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for being so patient with me. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye.